Hello everyone, today we're going to be reviewing my 23&Me results. I got the kit for Christmas and I haven't seen the results yet, they've only just come in, so I hope we're going to enjoy watching them together, and my daughter's here to join me because they're her results as well. So let's just get right into it. I'm really excited to see what it says. Start with Ancestry or start with health and traits?
Well, if you find out you got something bad, might put a downer on the rest of it.
You mean the health parts? Yeah, you're right. Okay, I guess we'll start with Ancestry.
Ooh. British and Irish have ties to 4 other populations. Oh! Very interesting.
In total, what we have is a Northwestern European with 97.9% Northwestern European and 0.7% Ashkenazi Jewish with 0.5% Southern European. Broadly European, I don't know what that means, 0.6. Is that all other European? I guess if I click on it, it'll show me, right?
Yeah, when they say this, I believe they're just looking at like an index of what they've classified as parts of DNA that are uniquely found in those areas. Broadly European, I mean 0.6 of your DNA is from places all over Europe, but only all over Europe. It's unique to Europe, but not any particular part of Europe. That's what I believe they're saying.
We detected traces of the following populations in your DNA. Read more about the trace ancestry in FAQ. Broadly Western, Asian, and North African. 0.2%. And unassigned, I don't know what that means either. There is a wide range of human diversity in the world, and sometimes our algorithm is unable to match a region of your DNA to a specific population with confidence. Individuals whose ancestors came from multiple continents and who mixed many generations ago typically see more unassigned ancestry in their ancestry composition. Individuals whose ancestors came from just one continent typically see less unassigned ancestry. Okay. So it looks like most of my ancestors came from Europe. And if I click on this, I'll get more details about where exactly. So yeah, I'm from Britain, if you couldn't tell, if you're watching this for the first time because you love 23&Me videos. I live in Britain, my parents are from Britain as well, and it looks like I'm 65% British and Irish. Some people who I've met have speculated that I have Scandinavian ancestry, which is 7%, which I guess is probably not detectable in... I'm saying, like, when someone's looking at me and saying I look Scandinavian, they can't be detecting the 7% of my...
Yeah, but that's perfectly possible. It's not definitely true. But, DNA is digital. It's not, it's a lump of something.
So I could have got all of the Scandinavian genes in my face and hair.
Your genes don't just mean like stuff that you can see. So you could have 7% of that 7% could be heavily shown in your phenotype. Genotype is the genes, and the phenotype is anything that is expressed. It's perfectly conceivable that 7% is highly concentrated in the regions that show what you look like.
Should we look at specifically where in Britain and Ireland my ancestors are from? That sounds interesting. In the last 200 years, your ancestors may have lived in the following locations. Why is it only the last 200 years? They can't trace it back further than that.
Imagine how they do it is they go... It's probably not 23&Me. There's been multiple studies of this going on, and 23&Me have just accumulated all that stuff and put it into one database. So, for example, some study has gone to Manchester and they sampled 100 people, and there was unique variations in that population that they'd never found anywhere else in the UK. But that only means it's only looking at the places where they've looked. So if there's a village, in Cornwall or something, that no one's ever genotyped, it could be that loads of people from that village in Cornwall all have the same as the one in Liverpool. It's not particularly unique to Liverpool. So this is only ever going to show you the places that they've already studied.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people in, say, Glasgow who have a few sort of gene combinations in common with me. So they can infer that perhaps it's because our ancestors were both from Glasgow.
Yeah, I imagine that there's I imagine it's a hugely sort of like in-depth thing. I mean, and also like you have to look at different like because I imagine they're gathering all the metadata together. So like there's some studies where they've like taken like 10 people and done the DNA on them from like one place, and there's other studies where they've gone around the entire country, and there's other places where they've just looked for one particular variant, and there's other places where they've looked for a lot of different variations, or they've just done a whole sequence of those people. So like, I imagine 23&Me have taken all that information together and tried to normalize it somehow, which is like, introduces biases and errors. So like this stuff is always, take it with a pinch of salt. Even the best of ways of doing this is still, there's a lot, there's fat error bars, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why they probably could only go to the past 200 years with some confidence, I suppose. It's worth noting that the place where we live is not highlighted here, so we've deviated slightly from where my ancestors are from. We've got London, Glasgow, and some places in the northwest, which is kind of interesting. Oh, it comes up with it. Okay,
it's not surprising since you've got lots of if you've got Irish DNA.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Transfer population,
but not much in Northern Ireland, weirdly. That's because I'm not. I had to click on it to get that. Okay. Yeah. But I didn't. Yeah, nothing from Northern Ireland, just from Dublin.
We'll click on Northern Ireland.
That's lumped in all together. So you see, there's like a tiny bit coloured in there. I think this is a bit misleading way of showing the information because it's just colouring the area.
It's showing political borders.
Yeah.
Whereas genes don't have those.
So it's like there's a tiny dot here in Ireland. That could be a really dark blue, but I can't see it because it's too small. It could be just a really small city.
Yeah, so when you click on Ireland, is it showing the colour relative to the UK, or is this
that's a good point.
Just Ireland?
There's no scale on here. There's just weaker and stronger. So we don't know if Dublin is stronger than London or not.
You did say British and Irish is the populations have so interbred that it's even less reliable. The west coast of the UK is so saturated in Irish DNA that if you had ancestry there, you would have Irish DNA.
Okay, so here's a question for you. If it's only for the last 200 years, and that is that's 8 generations.
Yeah.
So by the time you have 8 generations ago, how many ancestors is that? It's 2 to the power of 8.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, there's quite a lot. Well, I don't remember. I think it's over 200. Is that 265? That's 8-bit. 2 to the power of 8 is 8-bit, which is 260. 256.
No inbreeding.
Yeah. But I have up to 256 ancestors around 200 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's an interesting question. If I click on Ashkenazi Jew, where does it say that those people are on the map?
It'd be Germany, Poland.
Okay, it's coming up with America though.
Well, they don't. Ashkenazi Jews don't come from America.
Yeah, well, nobody comes from America other than Native Indians, right? I mean, if an American doing this test, it would come up like Britain, Ireland, Poland, whatever, right?
Theoretically, there could have been, even though they're like European, you could potentially have American immigrants that have come to America with. So it's just Britain and America. Just pretend it's like that. So you take a subsection and a founder group from the UK comes to America, and they're representative of the UK at the time they come across. But as the population changes, there's unique parts of DNA from that founder population that aren't found in that basically go extinct in the UK.
Yeah.
So you could end up with distinctly American DNA that is purely European. So it's both European and that's literally how all this stuff happens. You get a subset of people that move from one place to another that aren't completely representative of the because if you're taking a small sample and they're immigrating to another location, then they're not. They're slightly off average from that population, and then their population increases and that population shifts, and they're not connected, and then suddenly you've got two distinct or more distinguishable, say, populations, even though they're from the same place.
So if we click on the origins, you're right. It comes from this part of.
I thought it was more east.
Poland and Germany.
No, it was in France.
It's funny because they say Central Europe, and it looks like they've drawn a dot literally on the centre of Europe. They've just gone like, it's about here. 13.6% is from France and Germany, and it's... Okay, I have a good question that might ruin the video.
Okay.
How related are you and I? That's something I've been dying to know since you since you got me the test, and you did the test a couple of years ago. Okay, well, you're not appearing on here, which is a relief. You're not in the list of people I'm related to. What's funny is that there's a lot... Do you think women are more interested in this than men? Because it looks like there's a lot of women turning up.
Possibly.
These names are so... I don't know anyone called Barbara, and these are all Americans.
I think that most people on 23&Me are American.
Yeah, it just sounds like Cindy and Barbara and Nancy, Lindsay.
You can sort by different things.
Sort by strength of relationship. So these are the most...
that's because there's fragments, there's the total amount of DNA shared, and then there's the number of segments that DNA is split into.
You have to go 7 down before I'm related to a man. View the Neanderthal report. Is it Neanderthal or Neanderthal? Leave it in the comments. They're both valid, but I want to know how you say it.
You haven't got as much Neanderthal as me.
I learned when I was at school that it was Neanderthal, but then I started saying Neanderthal when I started getting corrected when I got older, but apparently they're both fine. So now I don't know what to say.
It was just named after a valley in France.
Yeah.
So they didn't actually call themselves that.
Yeah, so I've got a higher than average amount of Neanderthal DNA.
Well, it's only because there's a lot of Americans on here.
Okay, I have straight hair, but I don't have that one.
Yeah,
I don't have any of the indicators.
Less back hair.
Yeah, so this is the valley.
Oh, it's in Germany. I thought it was in France.
It looks pretty close.
The actual...
maternal haplogroup, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, so
I'm in the J1C5. Yeah. If you're in the J1C5, leave a comment. If every person living today could trace his or her maternal line back over thousands of generations, all of our lines would meet at a single woman who lived in Eastern Africa between 150,000 and 200,000 years ago. Though she was one of perhaps 2,000 women alive at the time, only the diverse branches of her haplogroup have survived today. The story of your maternal line begins with her. That's interesting.
Basically, DNA, when you have offspring, it's a mix.
Yeah.
Except the male line will always have a Y chromosome because you're getting an unmodified Y chromosome for your father, which is obviously not from your mother.
Yeah.
That isn't the case for the X's because you have an X from your dad and an X from your mum, and they can also potentially cross over, so you can have two mixed X's. But with the Y chromosome, if you follow it through the male line, it's pretty much, it stays far more like that male ancestor. And the women, they don't get any chromosomal DNA like that.
Yeah.
But they do get mitochondrial DNA. In humans, we've got there's something called a mitochondria, which is I'm not sure they proved it or anything, but it's most likely a bacteria of some kind that became symbiotic with the cell.
Human cells.
Yeah. So it's got its own, because it's got its own unique DNA.
Yeah. That's what I understand about mitochondria, is that it's like DNA, but it's not DNA.
Mitochondria is...
It is DNA, but
DNA,
it's not it's not the same as your other DNA.
Yeah, it's...
But you inherit it from your parents.
Well, you inherit it only
from your mother.
The cell, the egg cell, has got mitochondria in there. So as it reproduces the mitochondria as well. So you're getting a pure... The
line
the
going back
line,
to the mothers.
The mitochondria is pure female line all the way through. So you can get your mother's. But mitochondrial DNA is very much similar to yours, whereas none of her normal DNA would be similar to yours at all, or not that similar.
It says that I've got a very common haplogroup. I feel very unspecial right now. It says that 1 in 280 23&Me customers have the same haplogroup as me.
Yeah, because it basically branches off. So I think that's the L is the original one, then it mutated into these different L's, and you're J.
I know this is obvious, but I think it's mad that there's a woman who lived 11,000 years ago, and 1 in 280 23&Me people are descended from her.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us for this. And if you have any questions about this, I can always check the report and get back to you if you're curious. And if you have done your 23&Me test or some sort of other similar DNA test, then let me know what you got. If you got any interesting surprises, and join me again for my next video where I'll probably do more of a standard type of thing. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.